This episode of the PC Perspective podcast is brought to you by Audible.com, the world's leading provider of audiobooks with more than 180,000 downloadable titles across all types of literature, including fiction, nonfiction, and periodicals. For your free audiobook, go to audible.com/PCPer. Hey everybody, welcome to the PC Perspective podcast. This is episode 370 being recorded on October 7th, 2015. I'm Ryan Shrout.
I'm Jeremy Hellstrom.
I'm Josh Walrath.
And I'm Alan Malventano.
And Ken's bored.
Was that Ken? I thought that was Josh doing something with his webcam footage or something.
That was Ken.
So
What did I do?
He slid
you didn't
in.
see it. You slid in. It almost looked like a vertical, on a CRTV.
The vertical hold was off.
Yeah, the vertical hold was off on your image. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So welcome to the show, everybody. It is the month of October,
Yeah.
also known as the beginning of Q4.
Uh-huh.
Also known as probably the best month.
Really?
Yeah, probably.
Why is it?
I mean, we don't have
Thanksgiving in
winter
it.
yet. We got lots of football.
Oh, because of the football.
There's lots of football.
That explains it.
There's baseball playoffs into World Series. I think hockey.
Tailgating is
hockey a
not
thing?
painful.
Today, as of today.
Hockey starts today. Tailgating is good. Like the weather's still decent. College basketball starts in October. NBA basketball is in preseason mode, but it kind of doesn't really count yet. It's got
This is the
Halloween.
Thanksgiving holiday weekend.
I mean, fake
Well, for
Thanksgiving.
Canadians.
No,
Yeah.
we win. It
Thanksgiving?
comes first.
You win
Ours
what?
is better.
What do you win exactly?
Canadian Thanksgiving.
Canadian
came first.
Thanksgiving.
But you're last if you count like from the previous year. I don't know.
That's right. If you loop around, you
Yeah.
lose.
Yeah.
Yeah. We get there first in November.
Halloween is probably the second best holiday.
Really good beers are out.
I don't consider Christmas first. I think Thanksgiving is first.
I just don't like Halloween.
Once I had to start buying my own presents for other people,
Yeah.
Christmas kind of went down on the list a
Yeah.
little bit. And also because it just became super obnoxious. Like the people and the Christmas stuff became obnoxious. But I like Thanksgiving. I have a really cool card party up until 4 a.m. on that Wednesday. And then as I go to bed, my wife and her family gets up to start cooking. It's this nice exchange on the stairway of the house. It's like, I'm going to bed. Okay, and you're getting ready to start cooking the turkey. High five.
Thanksgiving is definitely the best holiday.
Patriarchy.
Yeah.
No,
Wake
you
me
just
up when
haven't
it's
seen
done.
Ryan try to cook.
Yeah, you don't want me to cook any of that. I carve it at the end, and even that is, I have an electric knife for that, right? So,
Yeah, it's Milwaukee.
cheating.
It's a bad site.
huh?
It's a
Milwaukee.
sawzall.
Maybe it's a
Is it
sawzall.
made by Hitachi?
It is not, but it does vibrate.
That's
It's
Josh's.
got a back and forth motion.
That awkward moment at Josh's
Got a
Thanksgiving
back and
table.
forth
It's not working.
Only 3 more hours and this will be jelly.
How do you get the stuffing in? Let me show you.
It uses the same utensil.
It's a different attachment.
Interesting. So welcome to the show, everybody. We record this on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern. Wow, I did that backwards than I normally do. We record it at pcper.com/live. If you go to that URL, you can watch us record the podcast, interact with us. We got the chat room open. We're all kind of paying attention to that as well. If you need a gentle reminder, you can go to pcper.com/subscribe, and you get this little page here that asks for your name and an email address, and we send you a notification, just a little reminder, an hour or 2 hours before we do any live stream like this. During the week, I guess. Every Wednesday, but sometimes other times as well. And also, for people who are in the chat tonight, I think I have 2 or 3 more Star Wars Battlefront keys that I'll just kind of put into the IRC
For the beta.
throughout for the beta. Yeah. Which will basically get you in early because the full public beta doesn't start until 1 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, so you can play a little bit tonight as well, which should be interesting. So I played it for... We don't have that as a talking point anywhere, do we, Ken?
No.
Okay. I played it for an hour and a half yesterday.
Did you play it after work?
No.
No, you played it for 45 minutes.
Okay.
yesterday.
Well, I played for 45 minutes. I played the 2 maps, the 2 multiplayer maps, the Hoth level, which I played in the alpha, and then the new one, whose name escapes me. Gorgeous looking. Stunningly beautiful. I was playing on a 980 Ti, 25x14 on a G-Sync monitor. Everything looked great, played great, was super smooth. And it was fun. I died a lot. I tend to do that in games. Darth Vader killed me a couple of times.
Well, if you're gonna get killed,
Yeah, but I
might as well get killed by the guy.
It was a lot of fun. I
Took down a TIE fighter.
I did. I took down a TIE fighter with like a
with a what?
rifle. Like with like
really?
Yes.
Sweet.
Yeah. I mean,
pretty awesome,
it
actually.
takes more than one shot, so I just happened to get the last shot on it. But it was pretty stunning when I did, and it kind of exploded. You know, it was like that scene in Saving Private Ryan where Tom Hanks is shooting the tank.
Yeah.
And then it just times
Saving
it.
Ryan's Privates?
Right. Yeah. That's
Yes.
a different. That's a different one. That's a different one.
He also dies in
Same
that one,
outcome
too.
with blanks.
Yeah, somebody in the chat room says they saw me on the server, and unfortunately, going back to the days of Origin, when I created my username, I didn't realize that was also going to be my on-screen display name, so it's just Ryan Shrout.
Gee, I wonder if that's.
What do you think that's Ryan Shrout? I don't know. It's
Aw.
you don't know.
Vigile.
So let's get into a couple of reviews. Not a whole lot of super exciting stuff this week. I blame mostly Josh and Allyn, for not really producing anything for us to talk about today.
Because goodness
there's an
knows I
article.
did nothing in September. Nothing.
Oh,
Yeah,
It's October now, though.
yeah.
Well,
We're
yeah.
7 days into October.
What have you done for me lately?
Exactly.
We're a quarter of the way through this month.
Eddie.
Oh no.
So, yeah, think about that. Maury posted a review, though, of the Gigabyte Z170X Gaming G1 motherboard. This is our continued coverage of Skylake stuff, which maybe now is a little bit more interesting that you can actually buy Skylake processors, so that's always a plus. This is actually a pretty interesting board. First of all, color scheme wise, design style wise, it is unique, right? It's a red and white, but
It kind of looks like it belongs in some of the Japanimation, like Shogo.
Yeah. I was going to say
What is the one about the
Transformers,
police robots?
but I was probably called police
Police
robots.
knots?
No.
I don't know. I don't follow up on my
Whatever.
my anime.
You've got an extensive collection at home.
I own exactly 2 anime films.
And
Let's
they're
be
all
fair.
Star Wars related.
One of them is
Akira
Akira. One is Akira, and one is Princess Mononoke. Those are the 2
You don't
anime
have
movies. I
heavy
own.
metal?
No,
Oh, shame on you.
That's not Japanimation.
it's not Japan.
Yeah,
that's
it's not
just
even
cartoons
close.
made in
No,
U.S.
yeah,
That's true.
a-hole.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, come on, get your Japanimation.
But you still
right.
don't have heavy metal.
No.
Shame on you.
Paddleboard. That's it. Thank you.
Oh,
Oh wait, I also own Ghost in the Shell. That makes 3. Yeah, sorry. Damn it, I lied.
That's funny because I have Akira and Ghost in the Shell.
But you don't
yeah,
have
they
Princess
actually just
Mononoke?
grow naturally
No, I do
in
not.
a movie contest.
No, I've got one of the later ones.
It's a good movie. They're
Yeah.
good movies. Akira kind of messed me up as a kid. I'm not gonna lie. Anyway, back to this motherboard. It looks nice. It's got it's got the hybrid water cooling, air cooling on the MOSFETs, power delivery stuff here. It's got plenty of USB 3.0 and 3.1 as well.
It's like double 2-color like PCIe ports.
What are you looking at here? Oh, so that's interesting. Let me go to that page,
Yep.
or maybe it's in. Here it is. So these are ultra durable PCIe metal shielding. So this is kind of interesting. It's actually a metal shroud that goes over the PCIe slot, obviously leaving the connection part open.
Yeah.
and then it strengthens the port, right? So it's saying
reinforces it.
1.7x stronger in shearing, right? Like
Yeah.
horizontal, right? And then 3.2x stronger in terms of retention, right? So you can't pull the slot out of the motherboard, and you can't rip it off of the motherboard.
Well, it looks like
there's
we've seen those before with the retention clip that's on both sides.
Yeah, so it's not so much the retention clip as it is when you have a PCIe connection, it's just plastic, right? It goes to the PCB and
Yep.
kind of like a clip on the other side. This is metal going through the PCB with a tougher retention.
Oh, so that
on the other side.
so that the plastic part won't pull up off of the...
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So, for DIY users, maybe not as important if you do a lot of LAN gaming and you're carrying your machine around a lot. Maybe that's cool.
Yeah.
For OEMs and that are building systems and shipping them on a regular basis, that's probably an incredibly nice thing to have.
It looks cool too.
I agree. I think it adds to the visual appeal of it, right? The kind of two-tone look. Yeah, like if you look at this picture here. And a lot of the new Gigabyte Z170 motherboards have this. So I think it actually looks nice.
Yeah, I mean, it can't hurt.
in addition to
reinforce it.
potentially being helpful. You've got your amp up audio, so you've got your op amps there. You can see there's 2 of them.
What's that big choke looking thing?
Where are we looking up here?
The big red circle coil
Yeah,
thing.
that's the chip.
Oh, that's the
That's
chip.
the Soundcore 3D
Oh,
from Creative.
It's just fancy looking.
No, yeah.
Fancy looking. You can see there we've got a whole bunch of SATA ports. Triple SATA Express, but obviously that converts into just normal SATA for those of us who don't have SATA Express ports, which is all of us. Or SATA Express devices, I'm sorry.
Yes, it's the device that's the problem, isn't it?
Yeah. And in here you can see the VRM circuitry with the optional water cooling on there if you choose to do it.
Looks like that might be kind of tight for Maury's typical kind of.
Oh, I bet there's a
Crazy
picture in here.
large heatsink
I
that
bet
he
there's
tries
a
to put on
picture in
there.
here. This is a little bit tight, right? You can see this. This is the 8-pin ATX power connection.
That is tight.
Yeah, but the clip is on the outside, right? Like the.
It is. Yeah.
So,
You'd hope
it
so.
should be okay.
As Ken and
try
I were
plugging in an assist fan when everything else is installed.
right. Yeah, that's true. The fan header there is even worse. This is something I think somebody should have figured out and fixed by now.
Like standardized?
Just like placement and ease of installation. Ken and I were doing some mini ITX builds,
Yeah.
and it gets even more complicated then.
Yeah, everything's in a
Like a
different place.
motherboard should maybe ship with an extension there so that
Yeah.
you plug that in before you do anything else, right? And you mount it in there. Because the hardest part when I'm building a system, even in a normal size case, is getting that 8-pin up the back through some opening in the chassis backplate,
Yep.
and then plugged into the 8-pin.
Well, they want it closer to the CPU is the point, or closer to the VRMs
I get
to
it.
the CPU.
I get it.
Right. Yeah.
I
mean, I get it
PSU
too,
makers are
but-
so nice; they give you a good 3 or 4 centimeters of spare length to be able to fit it in.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it's, I don't know if it's a design issue where they can't fix it or what, and maybe extenders cause issues with power delivery. I can't imagine that they would.
Not really.
It's like an extra 3 inches. It's all,
Yeah.
Yeah,
all you
exactly.
need.
yeah.
yeah.
It's the power supply is where it would need.
And
the
if you have a
extra line.
modular power supply, one of the things you can do is you can plug that in first,
Yeah.
right? And then you feed it back through. But even then, on most power supplies, that cable is like not long enough to really do what you want to do. Anyway, it's kind of a sidetrack there. So Maury did a review of all this. He tests everything as you would expect. It does have, let's see, if you look here, notice the LEDs along the bottom here of the board, right? That's supposed to be white. That's not really white. But there's red. It's configurable. That's what I'm getting at here. There's blue LEDs behind the motherboard, and there's yellow. So that's kind of an interesting thing we've seen on some boards in this generation. Is kind of configurable color and design. So there's your giant heatsink. It does support a lot of graphics cards, so contact might be an issue if you have a ginormous. Look at that. Just
He did it.
I
He
know.
put those huge
Oh, yeah.
heat sinks on it.
man will never stop.
Wait, were there two in the same picture? Or was that one?
No, it was one heatsink.
That was one heatsink?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's the one
It does
massive
have
heatsink.
an LED backlit back panel, which is nice.
Yeah, so you can find stuff in the dark.
You got
Yep.
that.
Which you can change the colors of too? Well, that's pretty
yeah.
interesting.
Apparently, you can.
Well, you know, it goes along with like
You got all those SLI
modded
crossfire
cases
bridges.
for like LANs and
Yeah.
dark rooms and stuff. Yeah.
Yep. So, this is interesting. They also kind of have their own M.2 to U.2
U.2,
adapter.
yeah.
Now, which that on the side says Amphenol 4493. That's probably not a.
It's the connector brand.
It's the name of the
Yeah.
connector.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not a cool brand.
It's a weird reinforcement though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just the latch for it, right?
Yeah,
I like
but
how
that
it's
wasn't-
labeled mini SAS on the board.
Oh yeah, it is.
Because it is. But
I mean, it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fair
They
enough.
just didn't update the branding on it.
It is a mini SAS connector, technically.
Yeah.
This board also
Yeah.
comes with a front panel USB 3.1.
That's the size of a DVD drive.
Yes, it will fit in a 5 1/4
Is that
inch.
seriously fine?
Okay.
It's not
But it
three and a
uses
half?
SATA Express. This is what's cool about it, right? Like, so
Oh, okay.
the chip for the USB 3.1, because Gigabyte is the only company using the. Ken, help me here. What's the Intel chipset?
Oh,
Alpine Ridge.
Alpine Ridge. That is Thunderbolt 3, 2, 3,
3.
and USB 3.1, like through it.
Yes.
So this has one of those in that add-on.
Oh.
And
cool.
it connects to the system through SATA Express. Right,
And-
so it's
and-
using the PCIe lanes of the SATA Express
And
connection.
then is that two SATA power connectors? What is that?
Yeah, 2 SATA power connectors.
It needs two?
Well, Type C can support however many watts, technically.
Yeah, Type C
Oh,
could
yeah.
technically it can go up to 100, but I don't think this goes up to 100. I think I read this goes up to 60, maybe.
I mean, you got the extra connectors in your case, probably, so why not?
Yeah, yeah.
It'll probably
Yeah,
work
everybody's got tons of
without
that in
both
there.
of them, but
So go check out the review. You can look at all the bundled applications. Go through UEFI, otherwise known as BIOS in my lifetime. Look at performance, see overclocking, CMOS battery placement. I think Maury would be sad to know that I salvaged a CMOS battery from a motherboard here to save my Chevy Volt's key fob, right, that had died. So that board will forever be dead. This is an expensive motherboard. $463 on Amazon, $499 on Newegg. This is kind of their flagship has everything model.
Looks
right?
like it.
I don't know if this is one of the ones that was certified for Thunderbolt 3 yet. I don't think it was. But they're pushing to have more of these certifications.
I mean, if it has that module with it.
So a lot of their motherboards have that Alpine Ridge controller. They don't necessarily have Thunderbolt 3 support in it yet. Like it's a driver update, firmware update type thing.
And that wouldn't necessarily be able to pipe the video out of that, right? Like,
I don't know if that's part of the certification process or not.
well, you're not sending video to it anyways. Like the Thunderbolt add-in cards had to have DisplayPort loopbacks.
yeah.
Right, but on this
You're just connecting it
motherboard
to
with the
by
controller...
Oh, I thought we were talking about the external thing.
No, like the
No.
Alpine Ridge is on the motherboard and it's powering the USB 3.1. Like that, they're using Alpine Ridge in this implementation solely as a USB 3.1 controller,
Yeah.
and not taking advantage of its Thunderbolt 3
Thunderbolt part.
capability.
Okay.
So I don't know if there's an implementation issue there in terms of having to pipe DisplayPort connections through it in order to support the display side. But I know they announced 2 motherboards that supported it like a couple weeks ago or a week ago, but this was not on the list quite yet. This one did have a couple of stability oddities. Maury pointed out with PC Mark 8, but we actually have, since this review has gone up, we tried to talk with them before this review went up, but since the review has gone up, they've been much more responsive in terms of like, oh, we're going to fix all this stuff. So I imagine we'll have new firmwares in the not too distant future to address all of that. And CMOS battery placement is a strength of this board. Is listed
All right.
as a strength, and that's really the defining factor.
So you will be getting your
Flawless.
next key fob battery from that motherboard instead.
Right, exactly.
You can buy those batteries at the hardware store.
Yeah, but I was at the office and I needed
Wow.
a battery.
Yeah.
Actually, to be fair, I had replaced it with an older motherboard's battery first,
That's too weak.
and it was more dead than the first battery that was in it that the car kept complaining about. Oh, hey, your battery's low, you should replace this. The new one I put it in didn't even unlock the car. I couldn't, like standing right next to the door, I couldn't do it. It was completely dead. So I had to come back into the office and get a different battery.
So that was one of your original slot A motherboards, right? That
Probably.
battery. I don't know.
It was an AMD M5. I thought, well, I'm not going to use this board anymore. I'll just take this battery. And that was a mistake. That was a mistake on my part. That's what I get for saying that. Another quick bit here from Sebastian, building the bench, a new system for cases and cooling. This is basically kind of an editorial that Sebastian wrote up for us, talking about the new hardware that he purchased to use in upcoming case reviews. You can see here a little bit of what goes on behind the scenes, how the sausage is made. He bought a Core i5 6600K Skylake processor. He got a Radeon R9 290X. You might question why 290X. It was more of because we wanted something that was big in physical size in terms of length and girth, if you will.
And could pump out the heat.
Right, it was something that was hot, but not like the reference cooler design, because that's surely nobody buys those anymore.
That's
Right?
James Brown.
Yeah. He got a couple of motherboards: the Asus ROG Maximus 8 Gene, which is a micro ATX board, and then the EVGA Z170 Stinger, which is the mini ITX board, obviously for different configurations of cases that we get in. And then we got some Crucial Ballistics DDR4 memory, Silverstone 1000-watt power supply. And then for the CPU cooler, we ended up going with a handful of options still, or at least that he was considering: the H105 from Corsair, the H75 from Corsair, a Noctua L9X65, which we actually have one of those in back there as well, and then a Fantex cooler of some kind as well. And then again, this is You got to have mini ITX options and thin ones, and then normal sized 240 rad options for what the general purposes are here. So he basically goes over why he picked these parts and what you can expect to see. He's going to go back and retest some of the other cases that he's insulated his garage with. To
basement, I believe it's basement.
Yeah, basement. I'm sorry. He's been insulating his basement with cases in their boxes and everything. So he'll take some of those back out, retest with the new components, and kind of get some new standardized metrics data. But I think people like to see kind of what the decision process is to a lot of this. But there you go. And then maybe not finally, but this a little bit more on my Android to iPhone update. I still have it. I haven't thrown it against a wall
yet
or anything. I haven't accidentally dumped it in a sink or a toilet or something.
But if you did throw it against the wall, it'd be less likely to bend.
Yeah. Well, I don't have the Plus model that I use every day, so there's that.
Well, that's still the better alloy.
Yes, correct. So in the last couple of weeks, I've posted these stories about, hey, I'm moving over from Android over to iOS. Surely we talked about these on last week's podcast as well. And the most recent update, let me make sure this went up after last week's. Yeah, it did.
Yeah, it did.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure. I'm trying to do something. I'm taking notes on the phone about things that I experience on it or
things that bug you or things that are better.
And see, that's the problem is I keep finding that all I'm writing down are, well, this didn't work and this didn't work and this was broken and this and this.
But the Notes app works.
So like what? Like
it
what are
does.
some examples?
So like the
and
Pebble.
then it deletes your notes, right?
I think the Pebble thing you talked about last week.
The Pebble time doesn't quite work.
Yeah, you talked about that last week.
It shows notifications, but you can't reply or do anything with it.
Yep.
What else did I have on here?
It's because Apple locks down their API.
The keyboard, the alternate keyboard continues to not work. Where I installed Swipe, and it will, when I bring up the keyboard to type in a new message, it will be the default keyboard. And if I hit the button for keyboard twice, like swap to emoji and swap back, which I know is what Josh mostly texts in nowadays is emoji.
Yeah,
it will show up with the correct swipe keyboard that I want.
I'm not sure what's causing that, but I had tried Swipe in the past, and then when you brought that up, I put it on my phone again and decided to try it.
I just brought up the thing to type in a text message, and it's not Swipe.
And
it's clearly set as default in settings.
I decided to try it again, and it was doing that same thing.
Yeah.
And I think the behavior, what used to be is if Swipe didn't open properly, you would just get blank. You would get nothing. I think what they've fixed, kind of, is that instead of nothing,
you just get the regular
default
keyboard.
One.
Maybe,
but that's still not...
So you're saying it might be Swipe's fault and not...
Well, it's one or the other. It's some interaction between the two, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but the third-party keyboard thing is not where it should be, since third-party keyboards have been, 2 OSs ago?
Right.
That should just work.
It was 8.
Was it 8?
Yeah.
Okay, well, 1 ago, an awful lot of revisions to it.
Maybe you should try SwiftKey.
Yeah, I could try that one. I think I installed that on the Plus, but not on this one yet.
It may be a thing with the swipe keyboard and just not be supported very well. I don't know.
Might be.
Yeah,
so what else is there? What other kind of stuff?
I feel like the Bluetooth range on the phone is less than the Bluetooth range I have on my Droid Turbo. I haven't been able to prove it in any way. I just get this feeling that like I'm getting connectivity issues I didn't really get before.
Yeah.
With Bluetooth devices.
It might be the iPhone using like the low energy or the low power mode for Bluetooth.
Maybe.
Because I know
Gmail updates and syncing are not as fast and instant as they were on Android. Kind of makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Just because the implementation wise.
Are you using the Mailbox app?
I am not using Mailbox because
Mailbox
we've had this
pretty much
discussion
makes
before.
it instant.
I mean, it's not going to be more instant than Gmail.
It's like within like a second or two.
Yeah, I don't know. Actually, what it is annoying is I get a notification on the phone that I have a new email.
Yep.
But when I open up Gmail, it's not there at the top.
Yeah.
I kind of have to like pull down and refresh, and then it shows up.
Oh wait, I had that happen on the desktop side. I'll get the notification on my phone and be able to view the email and it not show up on Gmail on the web.
Oh yeah. Like I'll get a notification on the phone, but when I actually go into the app, if I don't,
not there yet.
If I don't go through the notification,
you have to refresh it. And
I have to refresh it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a lot of positive stuff here. Like, I went to the Bengals game on Sunday,
Right.
and usually that is a place where there's a lot of people there. You got 60,000 people all in the same area. Connectivity is bad, so your battery life tends to suffer for it. I had no issues with that with my iPhone at all.
Did you have good connectivity?
Yeah, it was fine. Like, not doing a lot of downloading or anything
Right.
out there.
But I mean, like, was it, you know?
It was responsive.
Okay.
Yeah. And then it charges faster than I expected it to. I know this is something Ken and Allyn told me when I said I was going to, I think on the first time we talked about it, I was going to miss quick charge.
Yeah, it was like, doesn't really
But
matter.
with this, it seems to act very similarly. It
Yeah.
seems to charge very quickly. Even though it doesn't, like, they don't brag about that feature. They don't talk about charge times or charge rates or anything like that, which is interesting. But again, this is a smaller battery too, so it's filling up almost about half of what the Droid Turbo had to charge.
Yep.
So if it charges twice as fast, maybe that makes sense, I guess.
Kinda.
Right?
Yeah.
But overall, like, I still like it. I think every day that goes by that I continue to enjoy using it. My wife gets a little bit more angry because she kept telling herself that when I decided I didn't want this anymore, I was just going to give it to her.
she was going to get it?
Right.
She's an iPhone person.
Yeah, because she's had an iPhone for forever. She's like, well, when you don't like it, I'll just take it, because she's still on a 5S or something like that. And we were at Home Depot today, and she was like, so you about done with that yet? I was like, no, I still got 20 days left,
more testing to do.
18 days left on my 30-day thing. Anyway, I gotta make it through that. But so far so good. Like I said, there's other things. I have another post that's going to go up maybe tomorrow. Should be tomorrow. That will look at like a benchmark performance in addition to my experienced performance. So we'll talk about that as well, and then battery life, which is also a very interesting discussion as well. I've been very.
So which chip do you have in yours? TSMC.
I have the
Samsung. We both have Samsung.
In the 6S.
I have the Samsung in the 6S, and I have the TSMC in my 6S Plus. But you can't directly compare those because the battery capacity differences, the display differences, the thermal limit differences, right? Because they're in different chassis.
Yeah.
I did see some of that stuff going around today about the potential that a 6S with a TSMC built chip versus a 6S with a Samsung built chip, we're getting as much as 2 hours battery life difference.
Yes.
I find that impossible to believe. That one of two things: one, that it's technically possible, and two, that Apple would somehow go, we're not even going to check it. It's close enough, right? Like, for a company that is so particular about.
That always gets blowback whenever there's some kind of a thing, right? Like,
and they're also known to be very accurate in their battery life estimates on their website, like for the product. Like, they tend to be fairly honest about what it is, and it tends to be correct. So I find that impossible. I don't know. Like, the people that are sourcing data are people running the Geekbench battery test on Reddit, and then some people are kind of compiling data. The problem is you just don't know, like,
it's not apples to apples for sure.
like if one person's on Wi-Fi. If one person's on Wi-Fi and one person's on a weak LTE connection or something like that, like, that's going to affect battery life a lot. I just, not knowing what the testing criteria conditions were.
Yeah.
It's hard to put any kind of credence behind that. But
and out of all of the things you could compare on battery life or on phones anecdotally, battery life is the one that you can't. Like,
if you have a lot of notifications, if you have a lot of background,
patterns are so different on phones.
Yeah, correct.
It's just
it's true. So I don't put a whole lot of emphasis on that yet. I will say that my initial battery test results show that the 6S gets about 2 hours less battery life in our fairly heavy, intense Wi-Fi browsing test than the 6 Plus does.
6S Plus.
6S Plus, I'm sorry, which is expected because of the battery size difference.
And you have them at like
and this one is TSMC and one is Samsung.
Like, I think your brightness was kind of.
It's pretty high.
Oh,
180 lux.
That's what you were going for?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's fairly high in the grand scheme of things. So again, it's like you don't look at the absolute number, you look at it relative to other things.
Yeah.
Right? Because when we normalize all of our tests at 180 lux, whether it be on tablets or laptops or phones, that way. So
Yep.
So anyway, that's kind of my iPhone update. Like I said, we'll have benchmarks and battery testing coming up soon, and then I will probably try to compile all of it into here's an actual review will basically be all of my thoughts that I have had, and then
compile your notes together.
I'll put in like camera testing and some of the other stuff that we've done on previous phone reviews too. So we will do that. Let's take a quick break here, guys, and thank today's podcast sponsor. That would be friends at Audible, audible.com. Obviously, chances are if you guys listen to podcasts, you know what Audible is.
Probably listen to audiobooks,
right?
too.
I don't know. I would go as far to say that Audible was kind of the first long-form audio option for people. Right?
Yeah.
Maybe not before podcasts were even a thing, but before podcasts were popular. Right? So Audible is the leading provider of audiobooks. If you don't know, they have over 180,000 downloadable titles now across all types of literature, fiction, nonfiction, periodicals. Audiobooks are used, AKA for Josh, books on tape, are, in my opinion, one of the best ways to read or listen or experience new written word. I'm trying to figure out, because we had this debate before the podcast. Are you reading a book when you listen to it on Audible? Are you listening to a book?
It's the only way.
Nomenclature is difficult.
It's the only way.
Reading.
It's the only way I seem to accomplish reading of books.
That's true, right? So you can do this while you're driving, stuck in traffic, on the subway or bus, doing chores around the house, at the gym, doing errands, shopping, that type of stuff. Anytime where you're listening to podcasts, you could also be listening to educational or informative or entertaining books along the way. For our audience members, Audible does offer a free audiobook to give you a chance to try out their service. I was trying to think of one that I had gotten to recently, and Ken's desk is a paper version of Ready Player One.
I have that too.
It's yeah. I mean, it's how long is that book?
I didn't read it. I got the audiobook.
Did you? There you go.
But I have the paper copy because I was at a con and Ernie Klein was there, and I wanted him to sign something, and you can't sign an audiobook.
That's true.
I went and I bought the Ready Player One.
Sign my screen. Oh, damn it! I did not think that went through. So Ready Player One it's read by Will Wheaton on the audiobook version. It is a movie coming out in 2017 that will be directed by Steven Spielberg. It is essentially a future of us where virtual reality and is everything, right? Like people live in stacked mobile homes, and you experience anything that is worthwhile in life through
VR,
through this VR system, and it is. It's actually really, really good. It's really well written.
It's like Oculus
I've been trying to get Ken
25.
to read it for a while. Maybe he can't read, and I don't know. And if that's true, Ken, now we have the perfect option for you. You can listen to it on Audible, and they have some really cool features with this. Like, so obviously you can download it on your phone. You can download it on your PC, on your tablet. This one, not every book has this, but a lot of them do now. They have Whisper Sync capability.
So I've got the book on Kindle. It'll just like crossover to
if you're reading on Kindle and then you want to get in your car and you got to drive 40 minutes to work,
it picks it right up.
It will sync and you can play it back and it will read to you starting at where you stopped reading the book.
That is pretty
on
cool
Kindle,
feature.
which is really awesome. And I remember when Amazon bought Audible, I thought this would be like the perfect thing if they could do that. And they figured out a way to do it. They also have this capability. I think this is relatively new as well. Useful for Josh, anybody really, but Josh for small children, which is immersion reading on the Kindle Fire HD, which lets you listen and read at the same time and highlights the text as you read along with the narrator, which
that would be actually
some
great
people
for
like
kids.
to read like that. And I think it would be great for kids and children's books where, what are we talking about? The bouncing ball across the screen on kids shows and stuff like that. So if you want to get an audiobook for free, you can try Ready Player One. You can try anything else from their library. If you go to, let me see here, audiobook from audible.com, audible.com/PCPer. They made it as easy as we can get. If you go to audible.com/PCPer, you sign up there, go through your PC or your laptop or whatever, sign up there, and then you can download your Audible app on your phone or tablet. Works on iOS or Android, and then you can get your book and start streaming that way. So we definitely thank Audible for their support of PC Perspective, and it's a great product. I honestly don't use it as much as I should, and it's disappointing. My commute's not as long as most people's. It's about 5.6 miles.
Yeah,
So
doesn't take us that long.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, maybe I'll have
tend
to
to
pick up some speech-to-text software so that I can read it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I listened to when I was working for the
Printed
Navy and I had a half an hour commute. Then I listened to audiobooks, but now I listen to podcasts.
I mean, it would be it's like what I should do, and what I think more people should do is like, hey, you know what? I'm cleaning my house for 2 hours on Saturday.
Yeah, totally is good for that.
Put on headphones, ignore your wife, listen to an audiobook, clean in
just
peace.
Blast it. Just blast
Clean
it through
in
the
peace.
house.
Yeah, they got a baby sleeping. To be honest, it depends on what.
You know what I do? I actually do the work, and I think to myself, and I create new and original thoughts instead of listening to somebody else's.
Oh.
No, you don't.
Okay, that's right. I'm a plagiarist. I plagiarize like the wind.
You haven't had an original thought in a decade.
At least.
At least. All right, let's get into some news stuff from this week. Allyn,
Yeah.
the 850 Evo mSATA has been updated.
Yeah.
Tell me, when did the 840 Evo get its first update?
Its first update?
Yeah, like when
that
they
was like over a year
when
ago.
they
wasn't
actually
it?
fixed it.
Oh, when they actually that was more recent.
Oh,
Like
damn it!
When
Okay.
they finally fixed it.
So the 840 Evo, people that don't remember, had the issue where you had degradation in performance over time on old data that wasn't written to. They released a fix. It didn't really fix it.
That was in January.
They released a fix, kind of fixed it, and then they released a real fix
Yeah, the real fix was April,
in April. Okay,
and it came out for the 840 Evo.
840 Evo,
But
2.5 inch SSD.
The firmware only applied to the 2.5, which was weird because the previous fix attempt applied to the 2.5 and the mSATA model.
Yeah.
It just applied to both, and we tested it on both, and it still had the issue on both, right?
Yeah.
But then when they came out with this final fix, the one with the advanced performance optimization and stuff in it,
Sure.
right? The one that actually did fix the problem, it didn't apply to the mSATA version, which kind of left a bunch of mobile people like out in the cold because they're like, hey, I'm on a laptop, I have mSATA, what's up with this, right?
Like, we still never had the 840 plain fix.
That has not been, that is like the last one.
The 840 Pro doesn't need a fix.
No, because it's
It
MLC.
doesn't use TLC.
Right.
So you got 840 Evo, mSATA now being addressed.
No, it's addressed, yes.
And did we, like, verify it?
We didn't have old enough data to really
right.
show a big difference on
Right.
specifically on our mSATA model.
Right.
But there was a guy on overclock.net that did.
The dud.
That did.
That did it.
It seemed, I mean, not a lot of people have the mSATA model.
Correct. I mean,
Right.
if you
Compared
look
to the
at it in
2.5.
terms of sell-through,
Yeah.
the mSATA is probably a 20th would be my guess. Maybe more than that.
Probably,
Yeah,
yeah.
like maybe less than that.
Yeah.
Of because 840 Evo was such a huge selling product.
Yeah.
Right.
And I mean, I did see a difference on ours, but this difference from this forum member was clearly much larger. He obviously had some
I
very
see.
old data on
Yeah,
the drive.
yeah. There we go.
So, it was slow, and then he ran the update, and he was careful to say that he ran it right after the firmware update, which is also important because the advanced performance optimization just like rewrites everything.
If you let it sit.
If you let it do it, yeah.
Yeah.
But if you just like patch the firmware and then immediately run a test,
Yep.
well, he's getting those results before the drive could even have a chance to read
Sure.
and write all that
Sure.
stuff, right? So that's confirmed that it's doing what it's supposed to do on the mSATA model. Now,
That's
I
good.
guess the only thing left is just the regular 840, which Samsung
Does it matter now?
I mean,
Like, Ken has an 840, and we were talking about it when this came. He's like,
Ken has an
it's-
840, and he's pissed about it still.
Yeah, but it's
Right?
at this point, like, would you even update your SSD, Ken, if a patch showed
I
up?
think it's in my dad's laptop because I didn't want to deal with it anymore.
That's the other
Pass
issue,
the buck.
right? It's
Pass
like-
the buck.
Well, yeah.
But I think that with this type of issue, since it's something that affects the drives over time, right?
Yeah.
Then potentially think of someone still using this 3 or 4 years down the road.
It's even more of a problem.
If it could have slowed over time, it definitely did. Like the whole thing, probably, except for the little bit that was recently written,
Sure.
would have been going, a fraction of the
You
speed.
should have switched back to a hard drive by now.
Well, what I'm saying though is like,
Am I wrong?
as the years go on, more people notice the problem.
Yeah.
Right. So if anything, like it's motivation to fix it. Right. So at least then, even though it's taken them a long time to get it right in the case of the 840 Evo, or even address it at all if it happens in the case of the 840, at least by then there would be an update out there. So like, hey, my drive's going slow. Oh, hey, there's a firmware.
I
Right?
guess, but how long did it take for people from release of the 840 Evo to when
To
we
notice?
first started reporting about this? It was like 8 months, right?
Yeah, it was like 8 months. Yeah.
It's been a lot more than 8 months.
Oh, right.
and it keeps getting worse.
Well, what do you mean? Oh, on
Like,
unpatched drives.
yes.
Yeah, but now there's fixes for more and more of the
Pull that
of the
840
population.
and do HD tack over and see what it does.
Dad,
Yeah,
you don't
yeah.
need a laptop. Give me that.
Yoink.
Yeah, but I'm just I'm happy they stuck with it. They could have just plenty of companies would have probably just it's 2 more than 2
Yeah,
years
but
old.
they-
Screw it.
But they
right?
didn't do the 840 yet. Like they
They
stuck
already
with it.
kind
true.
of a lot of it.
Yeah, and there are also enterprise models that have
TLC.
that same TLC
Yeah.
planar flash in it, and are also
Do you,
susceptible
do you
to
think
that.
there was some like particular OEM that maybe used 840 Evos in their laptops that said you need to fix this?
I don't know. I mean, if it was just like one OEM and like
Like
just a
Dell
batch
or
something?
Lenovo or HP or somebody used a bunch of these and
It was either an OEM or people read our previous article where we said, "Hey, the 840 still not the mSATA
yeah, but
is
the
still not
840
updated."
we said the 840 still didn't have it too, and they didn't
And
fix that.
Samsung
And a
still has
lot
yet-
more people have 840s than have mSATA
I would
840.
agree
That's
with that.
true.
Yeah, I would agree
and,
with that.
And also, a fact is Samsung has yet to acknowledge to me that the 840 is affected by the issue.
Yeah, that's the thing that pisses me off the most.
I keep pushing the other direction on it, but I have yet to get that back. But I heard a rumor that they might be patching it soon, but I don't know for sure.
Sure.
Yeah, and Bananarama's coming right back.
Yeah.
I hope not.
Let's see. Let's move on here. Pascal rumor roundup and photos. Josh, what are these new Pascal rumors?
Well, there's some folks saying that it's going to be out in like April of 2016. It's going to have upwards of, on the professional side, 32 gigs of HBM2.
32 megs.
32 megs. Yeah, we're going back to what?
That Voodoo unboxing I did had 16. Thank you very much.
It has compression, has texture compression.
Yeah, TNT2, Electric Boogaloo.
So this picture that was like, I guess was a picture of a person doing a
Slide.
presentation.
Yeah.
The WCCF tech got a hold of. I mean, this looks pretty similar to the kind of
render.
mock-up that we had seen. Although
It looks almost exactly the same
so
as the render.
the difference is if you look in the render,
It's in 3D.
there was no interposer.
oh.
Right now, there's an interposer.
Yeah.
Like it was just
it wasn't that dark colored square.
right. There was
A
no.
rectangle.
It was on package,
It was
not
just on
on
the package.
on an interposer. Yeah. So I mean, this kind of we knew it had to work that way, but now you got a picture of it. So it's like okay, it was just a rendering issue. So anyway, Josh, sorry. I mean, did you think a April 2016 release time frame is feasible, knowing what we know about Apple's kind of dominance of all of those fabs?
Process nodes. Maybe, but I would be more leaning towards June, July.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
So
Place your bets. Where's the poll? Let's start it.
GTC is the first week of April this year.
So then soft launch, and we'll be shipping these in June, July, or
Well,
something.
I wouldn't think that. That's a very long soft launch.
It wouldn't surprise me if they release Pascal to the Quadro Teslas first. They would have the
Really?
benefit of
have they ever done
32
that?
gigabytes. Yeah, the first Kepler part, wasn't it? GK100.
Is this an up to 32
Was it Kepler?
gigabytes
What was before Kepler? Fermi.
Yeah, because the-
Fermi came out
yeah, you're right.
Fermi was
Consumer
released
16
Yeah.
gigs.
because they
Yeah,
talked
okay.
about all the compute capability of the GPU, and
16,
then
really?
people complained about
a
The
lot.
that they
consumer
didn't-
part needs 16 gigs?
doesn't need
16 gigs.
I mean, isn't 8 enough?
Yeah, but I mean,
That is enough.
That's going back to the 70s.
Just saying.
So, I mean-
it applied then, it applies now.
you got to look more at how the HBM kind of works into it, right?
Okay.
So, maybe you can't
I mean, do you need
properly
more memory?
address 8. You have to have more dies to address
Oh,
it
so you're
all
saying
correctly or
for the
something like that, right?
parallelism?
Yeah, like I don't know if that's the case, but I would imagine HBM2 maybe have some changes like that where they kind of go
Have a minimum.
to do that, right? Because HBM1 is at 4, and 2 goes up to 32. Is that what we said, Josh?
Yeah, 16 to 32.
Yeah. And maybe the memory is so cheap to manufacture because, again, it will still be low frequency.
That's true. Per die, it's
really
very low
dense.
frequency. Yeah.
Yeah, so it may be super cheap to manufacture that way. I don't know. But,
Yeah, I think the big problem is the packaging it all. It's still hard work.
Yep.
But I mean, obviously with AMD doing the Fury X and all of its derivatives, that's improving. And certainly by next year, it's not going to be as big a deal. But it's kind of a significant jump, and there's a lot of research and development going on, and money being spent. And the other rumor is that NVIDIA may be getting a lot of the HBM2 memory, but AMD is not, which I find that hard to believe because AMD was a massive contributor to HBM, and they spent a lot of money and a lot of time to get people to get around to their thinking. So, this chip's supposed to be about 17 billion transistors, so more than double of what we have today, which makes kind of sense because they're doing 16 nanometer FinFET as compared to 28 nanometer planar. So you can cram a bunch more transistors, but it's going to be interesting to see what exactly the final transistor count will be. Everything we're looking at is that these are going to be, both from AMD and NVIDIA, these are going to be a massive jump in overall performance as compared to previous generations. I mean, we got a ton more bandwidth, we got a lot more space, and we've got these massive chips that just can do an insane amount of computations to really saturate your computer and your monitors. Maybe, okay, it's going to make 4K comfortable and happy.
I like it.
Yeah.
Do we think like the performance per dollar is going to make some kind of a decent jump, like more than the typical % year over year, like that we're seeing so far?
It depends on the SKU and where they price it.
That's what I mean. Like, is this the thing that will do that?
I don't think we'll see. I don't think we'll see changes in the pricing structure more than we've seen before. Like, will they come out with $1,000 part? Yes, they will. There will be a Titan X equivalent, but I think the $650 equivalent.
So it'll be a scaled back version of this. It'll be like 20% faster than a 980 Ti or something.
20% faster? I mean,
like a
I don't know. I mean,
Ti.
Honestly, I can't say. I really don't know for sure.
Because it's like, every time there's like another thing, it's like,
I mean,
10
that comes down to what Josh's prediction here is that he thinks that this GPU architecture will be a more significant jump forward than even Maxwell was over
because we've essentially skipped a process node improvement.
Yeah, they jumped over one.
Typically seen in graphics processors. We've been stuck at 28 nanometer. We've got the Maxwell. We've got Fiji. And those are both improvements from what the original products that were introduced at those were. But still, that was a lot of design work. And not only that, but they've taken that design work and they've applied it to this new, faster, more dense process node. Yeah. And so we should see a pretty significant jump in performance at any price point that they decide to release it at.
Right.
Cool.
Yes. Cool.
Cool. You know what else is cool, Jeremy?
The fact that the Chromebook Pixels are coming down in price.
They're coming down in price?
Well, I mean, this brand new Pixel C is not going to be $1,000.
Oh, I see. I got you.
It's also not going to be a Chromebook.
That's true. It is based on Android, not Chrome OS.
Okay, fair enough. But
yeah, so that's not a Chromebook.
It's still the same team.
The brand is confusing.
The guys that did Chromebook are doing this one.
It is confusing branding.
Yes, very.
For sure. So what is powering this device? What are we looking at? The Pixel C is a convertible tablet running
Tegra.
Android 6 Marshmallow.
Yes.
It's
running Marshmallow on Tegra X1s.
Hasn't anybody that's tried running Android in like a laptop-ish kind of form factor gotten pissed off? Like, including you even? Like, didn't you try for a while? And
I don't think I ever used it for a while, but
there was some device you were trying to use that was Android.
Android was not. Who was it? It was a Motorola came out with a device.
Oh God!
That had a dock.
Not the Atrix.
Yeah. Motorola, because it was NVIDIA's first mobile chip. They had it in a phone,
Yeah.
and then you could dock it. I never had one long enough to like use it, but I knew it was not a great experience. And that was 4 years ago or something.
Yeah, but it's still Android. Like, it's gotten better, but like
I don't want to use any tablet OS in this form factor, but that's a whole nother thing. Some people do, I imagine.
I mean, it's a 10-inch
Right.
tablet, 2560 by 1800.
It's an A4 ratio.
A4 like paper.
What? Wait,
Yeah.
Exactly.
Tim wrote this up.
It's bizarre.
A 1 to the square root of 2 aspect ratio. Is that accurate?
That's A4.
Yeah, that's A4.
That's how that
Is
works.
that really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my god. Okay, I thought
When I
he
read that, I was
mistyped.
laughing my ass off.
All right, that's pretty good. All right.
The industrial design on this thing is beautiful.
Yeah, it does look pretty nice.
And it doesn't have a physical hinge. It's magnets holding the two things together, and they like picked it up by the screen and held it upside
How do they
down and
work?
didn't fall off.
Huh.
But don't turn it to 90 degrees or it'll pop off.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's 100 to 135 degrees, which for me seems a
Well,
little
it'd be
frustrating.
weird to pick up your laptop at a 90-degree
100.
angle
So that's
and
like
put it at a
100.
90-degree angle.
Then like that's 130. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean that's typical laptop. Like that's.
I mean,
90.
I wouldn't. Yeah.
But it's just you move it towards yourself just a little too much and pop. The
Oh, and it
magnets let
comes
go,
off,
and,
Oh, I see. I see.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see. Like, I do that every once in a while if I'm laying on the couch and I've got the laptop sitting on my stomach or something like that, and flip it back a little bit so you can
Doink.
actually see. Yeah, that would hurt if it detached and fell on your chin or something. And yeah, that would be bad. So it is powered by a Tegra X1, 3 gigs of
It
RAM,
is.
32 gigs or 64 gigs of storage.
Okay.
And a 256 core Maxwell GPU.
Why do you think Google continues to build devices based on the Tegra X1?
I don't know.
Based on Tegra chips, they've been the far and away the biggest buyer of Tegra chips.
Yeah.
over
I mean, it's
the lifetime
performance,
of
right?
Tegra.
It's graphics performance. They have they have really good graphics performance.
They do.
You can't
They do.
deny
They have
that.
the best
Yeah.
still in the SoC market, probably.
And they're power efficient at it. Relatively.
I mean, yeah.
You know,
Ish.
I
I
can't
wonder
say.
if NVIDIA may be offering them some nice
Discounts?
cost benefits so that they have
here's
developed
this
for that chip.
Here's this batch of chips. Put
Because
them in
what
something.
was the like what was the visual learning device that Google made that had Tegra
Project
in it?
Tango,
Project Tango had
which
an
now
X1.
has Intel in it, but that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, it had a Tegra X1 in it. The Nexus 9 has a Tegra
Yeah.
X1 in it.
The Nexus, the original Nexus 7 did.
Yeah.
It didn't have a Tegra X1, but it had a Tegra. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now this has a Tegra X1 as well.
Yeah, there's a interesting history there.
Available in December, $499 for the 32 gigs, $599 for 64 gigs, and the keyboard dock is $149.
Yeah.
There's an awful lot of competition out there that runs a full
It's
OS.
surface territory.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
so
not the new ones, but
clearly Google didn't just start developing this after the Apple iPad Pro was announced,
no, it
but
must have
it's
already
clearly
been in
the
works.
competition for it. It's
guess.
significantly less expensive than the iPad Pro.
It's smaller.
Didn't the iPad Pro start at $899 without the keyboard?
I don't
Yeah, but
remember,
it's smaller.
honestly.
It's a much smaller
10-inch
screen.
versus 12-inch. Yeah.
It's a pretty decent change in a screen.
Ken doesn't like 12-inch devices anyway.
Oh,
But no,
okay.
I like 12-inch devices.
He doesn't like 12-inch devices. Don't listen to him.
His MacBook Air is.
I've been using a 12-inch computer
Oh, sorry.
for the past
He doesn't like
4
14-inch
years.
devices.
Yeah, his MacBook Air is 12.
no, they're too big for him.
Isn't it 12? It is 12, right?
Well, it's 11.6.
Oh, okay.
You know.
Soaking wet.
Yeah, Roundup.
I don't know exactly what the audience is for this because
Yeah, I don't
I
know.
feel like if you like, yeah, if there's an audience for Android tablets. Is there an audience for people who want to do more with their Android tablets that they necessitate a keyboard?
is there
dock.
capability enough in Android to do that?
Yeah, I mean there is. Like,
Really?
in my opinion, there's as much. I see more fools using iPads with keyboards, docks.
Do they have
like
Word
taking
for?
notes.
Do they have Word
Yeah.
for Android?
Yeah,
now?
yeah.
Okay.
They have
Oh, yeah.
Office for
And
Android.
they got all the Google Doc suites.
Okay. Yeah,
Right.
that's true.
I think I would imagine that if you look at it today, not counting the iPad Pro, if you look at it today, the Android and iPad kind of like productivity capability is fairly similar. There's probably more apps for the iPad to take advantage of that stuff, but like the operating system implementation for it, I would imagine.
But
is
I think it's
similar.
still a niche thing as far as people being
I
that
agree.
productive on one of those.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
This is a device they're wanting. They're expecting to sell high volume on.
No,
It's a
none of the
showpiece.
Nexus devices or Pixel devices would they do that.
I think they hope to sell.
And I
high
mean,
volume.
I don't think they do.
You don't think they do?
I don't think they do. I think
What's the
it'd be
purpose?
really nice, but I don't think they're
I
manufacturing
think
this
they
at
just
extremely high
want to
volume.
prove to other people that you can do it,
Yeah.
so that other people make the
okay.
devices. That's kind of the whole idea of the Nexus program and the whole hardware program. Is they're not trying to sell. They're not going to sell 2 million Nexus 5s, or Nexus 6Ps or whatever.
I mean, they do sell.
Maybe 2 million is a low number, but they're not going to sell that many.
It's not going to be the most popular Android phone on the market.
Like they know that
that's true.
Samsungs and LGs and all that are gonna surpass it. So I don't know. Any other thoughts on this, Jeremy? Or when's it supposed to be out?
Christmas time.
Oh, okay, so it's a little bit further out. When's the iPad Pro supposed to be out?
November, I think. So yeah,
Christmas time.
Of course, for Christmas time. All right, noted.
Our
Now
tablets are getting bigger.
let's talk about more interesting tablet devices.
Okay.
This week, Microsoft announced 2 new Surface devices. We'll start with the one that's kind of more what we expected to see. This is the Surface Pro 4. It is a Skylake-based upgrade to Surface Pro 3, which actually skipped Broadwell, so it went from Haswell here to Skylake. It's a little bit thinner. It's a little bit lighter. It's better performing. They changed the type cover some, so it's a better keyboard. The touchpad is now bigger, 40% bigger. It's glass. The pen that it ships with no longer has to use an elastic tassel to attach to the device. It has heavy-duty magnets on the side of the unit that attach it to it, kind of like looks like a clipboard, I guess. Still got the same kickstand design. Flip-up keyboard. It's thinner. The keyboard itself is thinner.
God, their commercials. Is that their commercials for them that
do you
we were
mean?
watching?
The hype video.
Yeah,
Those were great.
those were amazing.
They were
Yeah,
fantastic.
It was shockingly good
they were
for
so well done.
Microsoft.
Yeah.
It's still 12.3-inch, odd resolution, 2736 by 1824. It's a 3:2 resolution, so the same aspect ratio as of an iPad, essentially. iPad's 3:2.
iPad's 4:3.
Yeah, it's 4:3.
Oh,
3:2 is
The
more
previous
squarish.
services have been 3:2.
They have been?
The last one was 3:2.
Okay.
Yep.
Pretty high pixel density, 10-point touch interface, all that stuff. They say they've improved latency, palm detection, pressure sensitivity. I think they said with the pen they have 1,024 different pressure sensitivities points on it for drawing and that kind of stuff.
That's good.
They claim the new Surface Pen will have a year of battery life on it.
And then what happens?
Then you recharge it? I don't know.
It becomes a pencil.
Comes the Apple Pencil.
That
I don't know.
I don't know because you might have to take it apart to change a battery.
be
or
sp-
something.
Screw it, and
it
you
would
put
be
some watch batteries in there.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
might
that's
be
probably
just
watch
little,
batteries.
like little disc batteries.
Yeah, probably.
It'd be smart if it charged when it was attached to the side of the tablet, like with the magnets.
Inductive.
Like inductive.
Yeah, some kind of inductive
That would
charging.
be cool.
Patent that.
40% larger touchpad, 5-point touch, all glass on that. It will be available with Core M3, Core i5, or Core i7 versions of the Skylake processor, 4, 8, or 16 gigs of system memory, and internal storage capacity is as high as 1 terabyte, and we're reading that it actually uses NVMe storage.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is nice. They haven't really posted a whole lot more detail on clock speeds or specific CPUs that they're using yet, which is actually kind of stupid now that I think about it because I already ordered one, right? But you do what you got to do. What's interesting is that if you look at their hype video, there are screenshots or pictures of this. Right now, they're all pre-rendered. That's not an actual picture of the processor, but they tend to be fairly accurate. What you're looking at is a Haswell part with 3 die on it. The big one in the middle is the processor. The second one on the right, I believe, is the chipset, and the skinny, thin, tall one on the left is EDRAM.
Oh.
So this will be the first time that you'll see Iris graphics in a Surface device, or really, I think, in any really thin and light,
Any 15 watt?
any 15-watt part.
yeah.
I think, yeah.
So
this won't be full performing Iris graphics.
it's
This
not
will be
Iris
some-
Pro.
Yeah,
it's
this-
Iris.
Okay.
So it has 64 megs of EDRAM instead of 128.
Yeah, but that EDRAM does help the CPU too, right?
Correct.
Like in some stuff.
It acts as L4 cache, right? So it will drastically improve graphics performance, but it could also improve other workloads as well.
So you already ordered one?
Yeah, I ordered one of these.
Were there different resolution options on the screen? How did that work?
No, the differences were just M3, i5, or i7, and then 4, 8, 16 gigs of memory, and then 128, 256, 512, or 1 terabyte storage.
So was that like you could choose?
Like
All of
Core
those?
M, you only had one option.
Okay.
Right, the lower end of everything.
Yeah.
i5, you couldn't get 16 gigs of RAM. But you could
Okay.
get up to, maybe you could get 16. I don't know.
I don't think
You couldn't get
I
1
asked-
terabyte of storage.
I asked because wasn't there kind of like these oddball, how they grouped those specs with like the previous version of the Surface, where
it
if you
wasn't
it's
really
like if you
oddball.
wanted more storage, you were kind of like you didn't necessarily want the faster CPU, but you want more storage, you couldn't do it or something.
Yeah, that happens a lot. Like if you look at
know.
MacBooks, they tend to do that kind of stuff.
Well, it's at this point, it's like if you want more than 256, you're going to have to bump the12 on just about anything. But 512 gigs of flash is a lot in one of these devices.
That's true.
It's an
It
expensive
is.
option.
It is. Pricing starts at $899 for that Core M base
Okay, so
model.
for the base one, yeah.
Spikes as high as $26.99.
Holy crap.
If you max out processor and storage, right? So we've got a specs table here.
The storage goes to a terabyte, right?
Yeah.
Storage goes to a
That's-
terabyte
that's
of
a good chunk of
NVMe.
that.
Yeah. And that includes the highest end Core i7 version. Now remember, Core i5. No, wait. We looked at this. All the 15-watt parts are dual-core hyper-threaded. Even the Core i7 parts. They're
Yeah.
just higher clock speeds. So there's no true quad cores here. They're claiming 9 hours of battery playback.
But the i7's the only one with Iris in it.
Correct.
There's not an i5 with Iris.
Not an i5 with Iris, which makes sense. I
So it's just using the previous whatever it's called, the integrated.
It's HD 520.
HD 520. Yeah. Now, maybe more interesting than all this or all that is the Surface Book, which was kind of a surprise to me. This is a 2-in-1 laptop, tablet, whatever, convertible you want to call it, that actually has a discrete GPU option from NVIDIA. So internally, it's very similar to what you get in the Surface. It's Skylake based. It's only available in Core i5 or i7. There's no Iris graphics option. It has this really cool hinge on it. They call it the dynamic fulcrum hinge. That looks like a watch band.
Kind of,
Some
yeah.
kind,
Yeah.
but not to be confused with the Yoga 3 Pro that had a watch band hinge.
Yes.
This is different than that. It's a little bit bigger screen. It's a 13.5-inch screen, 3000 by 2000 resolution, so it keeps that 3:2 aspect ratio. 10-point touch capability, all that good stuff. It has 2 USB 3 ports, but what's interesting is if you so it also has a backlit keyboard. It has a lot of battery in the keyboard, and it has an optional discrete GPU, only known as NVIDIA GeForce GTX GPU, with 1 gigabyte of frame buffer.
Powered by Maxwell.
Brought to you by Maxwell.
They mentioned
That's right.
Maxwell.
The only quote I could get from NVIDIA is the new GPU is a Maxwell-based GPU with GDDR5 memory. It was designed to deliver the best performance in ultra-thin form factors such as the Surface Book keyboard dock. Given its unique implementation design of the keyboard module, it cannot be compared to traditional 900M series GPU. Contact Microsoft for performance information.
And
Mike's-
connector information too,
Can't be
please.
compared to a traditional 900 series.
It's some OEM one-off that they tend to do for weird form factors like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
It's a 900 that's chosen an alternate lifestyle.
Okay.
I don't have a picture of this separated, right? But if you look at this picture here, so this on the bottom is your the dock,
Keyboard.
and then this detaches right there, and it's kind of an interesting detachment mechanism. They call it, what do they call it, Ken? It was
Magnetic
Muscle
wire,
straps
muscle
or something?
wire.
muscle wire.
Yeah.
Oh, here you can see it in another well done hype video. So because there's a GPU potentially in that base,
Yeah.
you can't just like pull the tablet off of the dock.
Surprise hot removal.
Right. You don't want a surprise hot removal. Or, well, you do get surprise hot insertions.
Yes.
But, so when you want
These
to
are
remove
technical
it,
terms,
there's a
by the
button
way.
that you have to hold down on the keyboard for like 2 seconds or 3 seconds. And then you'll get a little pop up in the OS that says it's safe to remove your hardware, essentially.
Your computer can be undocked.
Yeah.
And then it actually unlocks.
And then it unlocks, right? So there's actually a lock to prevent you from doing it accidentally, I guess. And then it's attached, and you could pull it up that way. So it's kind of neat.
It's like the old school eject mechanism.
Now, one
kind
thing
of
you'll
stuff.
notice is because of this fulcrum hinge, the machine will never close all the way at that hinge.
Yeah. There's a little gap.
There will
at
be a
the-
gap there,
Yeah.
which is interesting. I'll be curious to see how I feel about that because I just worry about things getting in.
put
there.
it in milk and use it as a straw.
Probably not.
Yeah,
that
but there'll
tight.
be too much dog hair in it for you to want to use it as a straw.
That's true. I'm
Because
worried
it
about
is gonna
like
suck stuff up.
dog hair or like coins or like just pieces of paper. Like, I don't know. Like, I like the seal of the laptop.
Yeah, but you keep your laptop in a
bag.
In a compartment of your bag that nothing else goes into.
Yeah.
It's in like a little sleeve thing.
Yeah,
that
but not
nothing
everybody
else goes
does
into.
that. I do, yes, but not everybody does that.
I feel like that's how a lot of people carry their
No.
laptops. I don't know.
My wife just kind of shoves it in the purse and goes. I mean,
Many people
I don't
do
know.
that.
Yeah.
But if you shove it in hinge out, nothing can really get in there because
Yeah.
gravity. Right?
I don't know. Like
if you
I said,
really
it's
need it
weird.
flatter, you could
break it.
No, you could undock it and then just put both things in the bag.
Then you have the screen facing outward.
No,
Yeah.
Well, you have the screen on the keyboard. Yeah, but then you got like the connections on the
That's
laptop
true. The connections
and
would
on
be
the
out.
dock kind of exposed. So you know, I mean,
Yeah.
it's weird. And you can take disconnect it, flip it around, put it back on, and then lay it, and then
But you still have that extra thickness.
Yeah. No, it's the same thing applies. But it's just more useful. This also comes with a Surface Pen, same type of thing, same magnetic dock on the side. This is a more expensive device. Starts at this. They claim this one gets up to 12 hours of battery life. I also ordered one of these. I'm going to be really pissed if that up to only occurs if you don't get the discrete GPU option. I'm very curious about the penalty and benefit of this kind of odd one-off NVIDIA GPU.
Right.
Why do I need its performance?
That's true. Why do you?
Okay. And then, what does it affect?
Yeah, because like, I mean, what would the justification would be? Gaming?
Light gaming. I mean, they say something about like League of Legends gaming.
Yeah.
But like Photoshop using OpenCL.
Can't you play League
using,
of Legends on the Intel integrated stuff?
Kinda. I mean, it's
Like I thought it still works on
Intel
that.
520. I mean, it probably would.
I don't know. It's just it's weird.
It's odd, right? Because it's clearly not a super high performance GPU.
Yeah.
Because of its form factor that it has to be in, and also that if you look at the specs here on the, does it show it on this? Like the power doesn't show it, does it? The version without the discrete GPU in the dock uses a 35 watt charger. The version with the NVIDIA GPU in it uses a 65 watt charger.
I could see
so
that.
you're estimating about a 30 watt power difference in the devices, right? So that's considerable. You're more than, I don't want to say you're actually doubling power consumption because the type of power adapter that's included doesn't necessarily mean that, but it's just an indicator to us that there's something
there is more
dramatic
power
there.
being used.
Yeah.
I mean, in theory, it's doing Optimus and stuff, so you won't actually be powering on the GPU. When
I guess
probably
like Optimus doesn't even really, I don't even know if that's a thing anymore.
it is.
Maybe Windows kind of handles that natively. I honestly don't know. But I am worried that I ordered the one with the discrete GPU for us to do a review on, and I'm just kind of like, I wanted to buy both, but I had an already large bill for Microsoft that day.
Stop hitting your microphone.
Stop talking.
Stop hitting it.
So I was worried about it. I don't know. And nobody at Microsoft wants to answer any of my questions about it to
Okay.
calm my nerves, I guess. This one starts at $14.99. So it's more expensive, and it goes up to the same $26.99.
How much is the version with discrete?
It's
at $18.99.
It's $200 more. The version with discrete is $200 more across the board, depending on what your configurations are. Same thing, you can get 256 or 512. I think you get a 1 terabyte option on storage. But
It's an expensive laptop, considering the competition. It's an expensive laptop.
I'm going to assume that these two new models can't be opened at all, like the previous
They're tablets,
Surface.
so no.
Yeah.
yeah, they're tablets that happen to have
You get people
Keyboard docks.
people dremeling a hole under where the SSD is to do an upgrade after the fact and stuff.
Yeah, just don't do that.
magnesium body.
Yeah, they did it.
Muscle wire detach mechanism. I am proud. This actually shows the gap that we were talking about here. This picture here, so you can see like the end of it makes contact, but the side does not. Like
Yeah.
there's going to be
there's
a gap of some kind.
It doesn't look like a really big gap though.
I mean, it's clearly like
The gap looks
as
like
much
it's,
an aesthetic design choice as anything else.
Yeah.
Right. And I like the way it looks, having only seen it in pictures thus far. But I got to give them credit for like creating a device that everybody seems to be impressed by.
I like that the way that the hinge unrolls, it pushes the screen further away from you, away from where the keyboard is.
Yes.
Right, so it's more
Yeah.
kind of more like a desktop. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see. What else we got here? Moving on. Away from the Surface story here, there's one more little thing. Dell UltraSharp. Oh, the Dell UltraSharp UP3216Q. Jeremy, do you know anything about this monitor other than what the title tells me?
I bet you it's super cheap.
It's got the UltraSharp brand on it. It's got 99.5% Adobe RGB.
Yeah, and currently it was on sale for $18.79, but usually it goes for about $2,000. It's, as anyone who's played with one of these UltraSharps knows, Dell does a pretty damn good job on their monitors. At least when you're paying this much.
Yeah.
There's going to be a bunch of people that get very, very upset when they realize it's 16:9. It is 3840 by 2160. And there are many people that just won't do under 10 inches. Honestly, I don't think that I'd mind it that much, but for professional levels, like you said in the title, it's got ridiculously good accuracy for the color. It's 60 millisecond or 6 millisecond fast mode if you're going to be gaming, 60 hertz refresh rate, and I mean, if you've got this much money and you got the graphics power to power one or two of these,
Yeah.
you've got everyone on this planet jealous of you, because that's just going to be crazy.
Do we have 1879 on Dell's website?
So there's some things that I think are good about this, but there's some things that bug me about this.
Like what?
It's still IPS.
True.
There's plenty of MVA panels that show way better blacks and don't have IPS glow. Even that Seiki.
Okay.
Right? And along the lines of that Seiki, that's a 40-inch 4K, same resolution, color calibrates pretty darn well.
Allyn, it's 99.5% Adobe RGB calibrated.
I get it's a
That
wider...
is absolutely not comparable to any display you've seen.
I get that it's a
it's
wider
insane.
gamut.
Like,
Yes.
it's a completely different league and for completely different applications than that.
I guess.
Essentially TV you got sitting on your desk.
Yeah.
None of us should have this monitor, but for professionals dealing with color, it's an amazing thing.
I think it's pretty much would only be those, like...
I mean, look at that pairing. Look how color correct it looks.
Look at
I
that,
mean, on that screen I'm looking at that can't possibly show those colors.
that TN panel you're staring into on the
Yeah.
preview monitor.
I always liked there was a TV commercial that always aired that talked about the amazing colors that you were seeing on the
Yeah.
screen.
Right.
Or high definition.
It was,
Yeah, it was
the-
so overblown.
It was
that
just, like,
even
super
in
bright, and I was like,
crap
well,
screens.
my TV's making it look just as awesome on your TV. I don't need to buy
Here's the
your
thing.
TV.
None of us have seen a full Adobe RGB gamut screen, have we?
Probably
Yes,
not.
I have.
So, I mean, compared to like a 100%, darn it,
sRGB.
yeah,
Yeah.
compared to 100% like just regular color space, like what the Seiki can be calibrated at
Yeah.
is 100% of sRGB.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, like how much of a difference is there?
Well, see, I upset the graphics guy greatly because I'm looking at it going, no, that's the same damn color, dude. And he's like, no, it's not. Can you not see the difference between those two colors?
See, that's what I mean. It's like
No, I
I mean, red in just a regular sRGB color space, like red is pure red to me. Like I don't see how you can get more red or more blue or more green.
It has about two less.
You understand what color gamut is, so you do understand how you can get more red and more green. But that's besides the point.
I do. It's just that I don't notice any. It's like past the point
Okay.
where I would notice.
So-
Perception.
So when you're
Yeah.
working,
Versus reality.
when you're working in print,
yeah,
this is a very important thing.
So, like, the inkjet printer I have at home.
yeah, the inkjet printer you have at
Yes, that's the one we should be thinking of. Because it does offset, right?
I'm
I
sorry.
guess.
It prints.
okay.
I mean, I agree with you guys. Like,
home. None of us could ever.
I
find a use
understand
for
the
this
value
panel.
of it, but I don't appreciate the value of it because it doesn't mean anything to me. It's the same thing when I hear Sebastian talk about multi-$1,000 audio equipment. It's like, yeah, no, I believe you that you can tell a difference.
Yeah.
I cannot. So it's not a valuable trait for me.
I will say a
Doesn't
good
mean
thing.
I wouldn't take it if it were like.
I will
given
say a
to
good
me,
thing
but-
if it comes. Well, the other thing they claim comes from the factory Delta E less than 2, which is good.
Yeah,
Like that's where you're lucky to get less than 2 freshly calibrated.
it's got a
So,
media card reader.
Well,
Okay, $2,000 is an expensive monitor, but I mean, let's be honest. If you're a professional,
it's not that super expensive.
It's actually pretty cheap.
Yeah,
when we were getting those first Asus PQ321s,
those were more than $2,000.
Those were like way more
like
than
three.
$2,000.
Yeah.
Those were like
those are
3,400 or something like that.
No, the one at work is almost $4,000.
Yeah.
And a few years back, but yeah, it's ridiculously good. And I'm like, yes, the colors look brilliant, but I'm still telling you.
You think Dell has to
red.
pay Adobe to use that Photoshop logo on their marketing material?
Probably.
Did they have to pay
Adobe
the parrot?
RGB.
I'm just amazed you can actued buy it. You don't just
That's
rent
true.
it from somewhere.
Only if the parrot took a selfie
You're
would you have
probably
to pay the parrot.
licensing the Adobe
Bloody
sRGB or Adobe RGB.
Probably.
Yeah, if you're
thing
calling
at
it Adobe
all,
RGB,
right?
yeah.
What a
So if you
racket.
don't sign in, you've only got about
What a
40% of the color gamut.
Yeah. You're not subscribed to CS, so you don't get the full
That's
gamut.
sad, but it's not.
Not surprising.
It's not like I wasn't like ha 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 that'll never happen. I was like, could they do that?
That might be a thing.
yeah.
They probably could disable profile that profile.
You didn't.
unless
You haven't downloaded
subscribe.
Adobe Profile Pro, which came with your
Pay up or we're taking blue away.
Does Windows even support
I think so.
a Adobe RGB profile, or does it only work in Photoshop?
Oh, that would suck.
I have no idea.
I don't know the answer to that. I don't know.
And strangely, everything's black and white in GIMP.
Because I know there's like a Rec 709 profile in there, and
Yeah.
there's a few other ones. I don't know if there's a full Adobe
Yeah.
RGB one.
All right, we're going to get into our hardware software picks of the week, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. This is something I bought not because I needed it, but because I wanted to plan ahead. And actually, I should have had.
Yeah, you don't even have it
I don't
here.
have it here with me. This is an iPhone 6 or 6S, both compatible. It's odd. It's odd to me that there is a small difference in thickness of the 6S versus the 6, right? And
Yeah.
the 6S Plus versus the 6S.
Is there?
Yeah, it's like a
This
0.1 millimeter.
This is slightly thicker,
Yeah.
Okay.
right, than last year's model.
Oh, you mean the
But all the
S versus
accessories still work. The
Yeah.
S versus the non-S.
right.
So I bought this. It's called the. I really picked this one because Josh, the Stallion Stamina rechargeable extended charging case.
Because I am neither of those things.
Is it a Butte Stallion?
So is that like not the S version of it, but it works with
It
your
says
S's?
iPhone 6 6S.
Okay.
In the description, so it's a 3,100 milliamp hour external battery, kind of like what are the brand name that is also
Mophie.
kind of the
Oh,
generic
Mophie?
now, the Mophie. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you feel bad for them. It's like Kleenex, right? Like
Yeah,
you don't get
Xerox.
any of the respect anymore. So it's basically a large battery that kind of wraps around the phone, and then it has essentially 2 times the battery availability. I paid $34.99 for mine, which it looks like it's that's not in stock anymore.
Probably because of all the iPhone 6 buyers.
Yeah, I think actually if you get like the silver version, yeah, $34.99 for the silver version. But Ken got his for like $21.99 or something like
Yeah,
that
it
on
was
like
the-
a gold box or.
It's like the gold box deal of the hour or something
Yeah,
like that, which is
yeah.
why I sent it to you in the first place.
So I must have got it after that hour, like a sucker,
Yeah.
like a sucker. But for $35 still, and like I said, I don't think the phone needs it on like a day-to-day basis. I've still been very impressed with the battery life of the device.
Yeah.
But I'm preparing for like, I'm going to go out of town in a work convention or
Or
something like that, where I'm going to
CES.
do a lot of email or phone calls or something like that. Mm-hmm. Or I might, say, hey, I'm going, this weekend I'm going to go to Lexington for a wedding. Rather than like remember to bring a charger, I'll just bring this pack with me, and when my battery's low,
It's true.
do that, plug it into that overnight or something like that, just for those purposes. So, interesting idea nonetheless. All right, so we're gonna move on to other people on this list. We've got Jeremy. I'm sorry, I'm just stalling a little bit for me to get my links open here, since you guys don't
Yeah.
put any of this in until after the fact. We got Jeremy next with the Power Connect something.
Yeah, it's an MTech Power Connect. It was sent to me, and I haven't finished writing up my review of it because I suck, but I am still
Fair
working
enough.
on it.
Fair enough.
It's
No one's
it's the more interesting of the two that they sent me. They
What is
also
that
sent a
plug?
wireless hard drive. But this does everything that the wireless hard drive does, including having a Samba built into it, so it will map just perfectly, or universal plug and play if you're one of those weirdos that actually uses that.
So that was Ethernet you had plugged in that I saw.
It has, because it's running as a Samba server right now.
Huh.
So it's mapped as a drive. on my
it's
PC.
not wireless?
It is also wireless.
Look at
So you
that.
can set it up as wireless. It's got a nice little interface that you can hook up, which is even BlackBerry compatible.
Of course, that would be something that you own. Yes.
I can't actually download one of the apps. Those are iOS and Android, but I'm hoping to play with one at work. The other nice thing about this thing, on top of all of the shared data connection, 5,200 milliamp battery.
It's pretty cool.
So it's already filled a Samsung Galaxy 3 of my buddies from 30% to 90% twice. And it did it in an hour both times.
So wait, this
It's a hell of a multi-purpose device.
yeah. So this is a battery,
it's a power bank, a Wi-Fi device.
but it's got
A network.
storage.
And it's got an SD card for storage. So this one's got a 16 gig in it. But
It mounts an SD card as a Samba server, which works over wireless or wired,
correct.
and charges your phone.
Yeah. and it's 811. Yeah, it's 802.11 BG and N.
Okay.
So
let's
it's
put a bunch of disparate things together in a small,
Holy
svelte
crap.
package.
Oh, just wait for
Sell
the
it
review
for
I'm
50
working
bucks.
That's the battery pack equivalent of like those 20 or 48-in-1 card reader things.
Yeah,
it's
more or
just like,
Yeah.
holy crap.
and it's $57.
That's pretty good.
It's 57 bucks.
That's pretty good.
I'm impressed. And one of the reasons you don't recognize MTech, do you?
No.
They renamed themselves in 2000.
So what were they?
BASF.
What?
BASF.
They must have spun off because
Must be a subsidiary.
yeah, because they're still
Yeah. They're
BASF is
still a thing, but they spun off some of their
Don't they
magnetic
make chemicals?
storage.
yeah.
So that's why I was like,
We
what the
make
hell is
your
MTech?
everyday
chemicals.
things.
I looked
yeah,
at it.
Yeah, they don't make the things you use. They make the things used better or something.
They make the things you
That's
use
right.
to make the things you use.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they make the stuff that makes the petroleum turn into carpet. Right? Like that's what it is.
Can you tell that Ryan went carpet
I
shopping
went
today?
carpet shopping today.
Ryan
I
went
learned all
carpet
about the
shopping.
differences between petroleum-based carpet and cornstarch-based carpet.
Which
corn
is tasty,
starch-based
and the
carpet?
other isn't.
yeah.
Is that biodegradable carpet?
So that's where carpet
It has a
munchers comes
25-year
from?
warranty, so it's not biodegradable that much. That's a pretty cool device. I do want to go back and point out one thing on the device that I had because I saw somebody in the chat was talking about it. I find it odd as well that this device is. It has it. So it obviously has a lightning connector to connect to your phone,
Yeah.
but then it has a micro USB connection that you actually connect to the outside world with.
Uh-huh.
So you have to charge this device with a micro USB cord.
Uh-huh.
Independent of how you charge your phone.
Well, no, it charges the phone.
Well, yeah. But like, if you're an Apple user, you have a bunch of lightning cables,
True.
right?
And you also have micro USB cables because other devices in the world exist that aren't Android.
But if you're an Apple user,
But wait.
you only have lightning cables.
But didn't the case come with a micro USB?
It does.
Okay.
I mean, it does. But it's just so odd to me. And like, I understand we had this discussion before that because Apple doesn't license the female parts
Yeah.
of the lightning.
It sounds so wrong.
It sounds just ridiculous, but it's the truth. They don't license female. They're very sexist over at Apple. They don't license female lightning. They
yeah.
only license, the Audi,
male.
the Audi version of lightning.
Yeah.
So this company and any other company couldn't have a lightning connector in.
It's true.
Right now, so you can still use USB to charge it and for data, Ken says. So if you hook this up to your PC or your Mac, like it will still connect and sync and do all the stuff that it normally would do. Which begs the question of what is the added benefit of Lightning anyway? Over you,
it's reversible.
but are there like some accessories that wouldn't work?
I mean, so like Lightning does video out and other things. Like it consolidated the 30-pin connector, which
I
did a whole
see.
bunch of things into the small connector.
It does digital audio out.
Okay.
And
It's
stuff.
a completely digital thing, and then like if you get an HDMI adapter, there's an HDMI converter on the other end.
Okay.
So you lose some stuff.
Like that, you wouldn't use that through a battery case probably, anyways. Like,
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. And it also comes with the extension, so you can actually use headphones. It comes with it comes with something that kind of looks like this,
but not bright
but
yellow.
not really, but not this
Not
color
that.
and not as a few. Never mind, it doesn't look like that. So moving on, Josh,
Me.
you.
Is it this? My 1990 vintage Akira soundtrack?
Akira.
Yeah,
come
say
on.
it right.
Akira!
You want vintage?
Akira!
How about this?
It's fantastic. You should get it.
I should get
Well,
it.
no, mine's.
I was
mine's
cleaning
still
things
earlier.
up and I found that.
That is special.
One's still useful, and then the other's the Matrix disc.
Yeah. There you have
So what's your pick, Josh?
My pick is, Defense Grid 2 VR.
Oh, God.
They're doing this so that you can do actual VR with Oculus. And apparently it really improves the entire experience. So watch that, see what the guy has to say, and see if the Defense Grid 2 VR is for you. It
I will
kind of
s-
makes sense, but we'll see.
In completely unrelated news to this, I will say that the Akira soundtrack is really good.
It is
Okay.
fantastic.
It's really, really good. And when I was 17, the song on it where they're racing their motorcycles through the city is a really
Yeah.
good song to drive fast to.
Okay.
Eh,
It is
Weird.
It's
It
really
probably
good.
applies now in addition to when you were a kid
Yeah, but I'm more responsible now.
with your vet.
Yeah, I don't need to drive fast. I don't have a small penis.
Okay.
Or I don't need to drive on bald tires. I don't know what that indicates about me, but I
No,
don't
that's
like to
a
drive on bald
huge.
tires.
You just like
that is a
driving.
huge penis and balls.
Drums.
Driving in the winter.
Driving in the winter with no tires doesn't mean you
With
have
no
guts
tread.
or balls. It means you have
It
means you got a
got
small
cheap wallet
something.
disease.
It means you have Tatanka balls.
It means you're lazy.
You're lazy.
You're lazy because you won't go to the tire store. Is what it means.
lazy, poor, and/or dumb.
Yeah,
All of them.
pick one or all.
Just
Pick 2 or 3.
all of them.
All right, Alan.
So this used to be a paid-only app that did not have a trial version,
Okay.
even, and it miraculously turned into a free app over the years. It's called Picture Information Extractor. So these Pic Meta guys also have a couple of other apps that, like there's a printing. It's like a print station app that lets you organize pictures to fit all your prints on like certain size
Sure.
paper and stuff. It's just one of those things. That's their paid app. And then there's like a Pi Studio app that kind of combines all the stuff into one. That's also a paid app. But this one's free, and I think it's their most useful one if you're just like running batches of photos through your system and you want to batch rename them based on like date and time, photo taken, stuff
Okay.
like that, right? You could just point this thing at a directory on your system, and every time you fire it up, it goes back to that directory. And if that directory happens to have like unrenamed pictures, just like named whatever came out of your camera.
DC00125.
Yeah. You just open this up. If it's already pointed at that directory, it just fires up with the directory open. You hit Control A and one button on the toolbar, and it auto batch renames all of your stuff to photo, date, and time. And then you
Okay.
close it, and then you go on about your business, and now your pictures have been named to something that makes sense and not like DSC.
Is the interface
whatever.
like awful?
No, it's just like it looks like Explorer
Ooh,
kind
look
of.
at
It's
this.
just
Bikini ladies. Hey,
okay.
hey.
Yeah, I don't even use it in like thumbnail view because I don't want it to even try to generate stuff. I just use it in like list view.
Yeah.
So I just fire it up. There's the list. Control A, auto rename. Takes like a few seconds, and then just go on with your life. It's pretty handy. I haven't found like a simpler equivalent of this that does it this way. Because they're always you have to add support for like raw formats of other cameras and stuff for it to
Right.
properly
Yeah.
read that.
You gotta do
And-
drivers,
and these guys update this thing like every month with like new stuff.
I once used a bulk renaming tool that had
Oh.
so many buttons.
I know.
It looked like if you told a ninth grader, make an application in Visual Basic to do X,
to do everything.
right? And they were like, okay, I don't know how to do functions, so I'll just make a button for everything, right? Like I don't know how to do radio buttons, so how about a big gray button for every option? That's what it was.
Well, yeah, but that
I think it was called bulk renaming tool. I believe is the name of the application.
it was.
It worked great. I'm not gonna lie.
bulk file changer. I think it was one of those.
I just want to say the Akira soundtrack is not on Spotify.
It's not on iTunes Music either. I was looking.
Is it on Audible?
It's not Audible. Someone
they
reading.
read it to you.
Someone reads the soundtrack.
G G G C G C sharp.
Awesome.
All right. So that is it, everybody. That's going to be tonight's episode. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you if you joined us in the live stream and hung out in the chat as well. We really appreciate it. PCPro.com/live is where we record the show on Wednesday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. And if you missed any of this episode or you want to subscribe to the RSS files, subscribe to our YouTube channel, you can get all that information at PCPro.com/podcast. And we would greatly appreciate it if you would do that. Share it with your friends and help grow this readership, viewership, listenership, whatever. This consumership. We'll call it consumership. That sounds like a term. Just make that up. We'll be back next week. I don't think I have any traveling or anything going on here. Nope. The only thing on my schedule between now and next Wednesday is Star Wars Battlefront beta, apparently.
And giving out keys.
Which is going to take you 5 days.
Yeah, I've got a couple more keys to give out. I gave out 2 in the chat, so and somebody just put a key in there. I don't know if that's actually legit. I don't.
It's like a malware. It's a malware key.
Yeah, it actually downloads.
That's a Windows XP key.
Anyway, so they're actually pasting the same key over and over again. So
maybe it does work multiple times.
It doesn't. I don't know what they're doing. Anyway, we'll see you next week, guys. I'm Ryan Shrout.
I'm Jeremy Hellstrom.
I'm Josh Walrath.
And I'm Alan Malentano.
Bye.
See ya.